Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with another live stream, September the 17th, Sunday evening, and it's around 7:30 p.m. coming to you today from a rainy Madrid. Well, it's fined up a little bit. The sun has peeked its way through the clouds, but it has been a rainy day and a rainy last week also here in Madrid. What about where you are in Spain? Let me know in the chat section. Now, as I said, we're going to have a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention over the last couple of days, the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and we'll get started here. As we know, Spain wants the European Union to recognise its co-official languages, Catalonian, Basque and Galician, and as we can see here, Spain is even offering to pay the costs of making these languages official in the EU. Spain is prepared to assume the costs that would be involved if the European Union were to recognise Catalan, Basque and Galician as official languages of the community bloc, a matter that will be discussed next Tuesday at Madrid's request at the General Affairs Council to be held in Brussels, according to newspaper El Español and confirmed by this newspaper. Even so, many countries, more than half of them according to European sources, expressed their doubts this Friday at a preparatory meeting in Brussels and asked for more time to analyse a decision that would mean going from 24 to 27 official languages and could end up provoking lawsuits or even regional conflicts in other member states. So basically, that's what's happening, and from what we can read here, it's going to be difficult for Spain to get these languages recognised. They're going to try because, as we know, it's all part of this process to get Pedro Sánchez re-elected or to get him into the seat of Prime Minister for the next 4 years. Some of the demands that have been made by Catalonian separatists, Basque politicians as well, and Galician thrown in the mix. So, as we saw there, Spain offering to pay, because I imagine it's an expensive event to get all of the documents that have been produced in the European Union over the last, how many decades, into those other three languages. That's an issue. And then, of course, every time there is a parliamentary session in the European Union, they need to have translators there so people can understand what people are saying. Because, as we know, Europe is complex with the amount of languages. And France apparently doesn't want a can of worms opened. And other European countries also don't want a can of worms opened with these languages. Some prominent Spanish people or Catalonian people have spoken out and are requesting to various dignitaries around the European Union their will to have these languages approved. And as we can see here, Pep Guardiola is one of them, the Man City manager, and Sergi Lopez, an actor, they have called in English and French for Catalan to be accepted as an official EU language. The Catalan actor Sergi Lopez, winner of 2 César Awards from the French Academy of Cinema Arts and Techniques, has asked in a video directly to the French President Emmanuel Macron that this country says yes to Catalan as an official language in the EU. In fluent French, Sergi Lopez told Macron that Catalan is a language spoken by 10 million Europeans, and its acceptance as an official language strengthens and protects the cultural and historical heritage of Europe, which belongs to all of us. Meanwhile, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has addressed Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson in English on Saturday, urging Sweden to vote yes to making Catalan official on the 19th. So the Catalonian propaganda machine working overtime there. Pep Guardiola, Sergi Lopez, not sure if you are familiar with his work, but as we saw there, he's won a couple of French awards. I think he does a lot of acting in France in the French language. And speaking to Mr. Macron, and Pep speaking to the Swedish Prime Minister, trying to get their support for this issue. The recognition of those co-official languages here in Spain. Now, moving on, and the Podemos party, which is close to extinction, trying to stay relevant, and they have redoubled its fight with Yolanda Díaz and have warned that it is essential for current Equality Minister or caretaker Equality Minister Irene Montero to remain a minister. Podemos has raised its tone with Yolanda Díaz, announced that it will redefine its relationship with Sumar, and made several demands for the investiture of Pedro Sánchez, although it does not want to consider them as red lines, and its leaders have not clarified what will happen if they are not met. Podemos Secretary General Ione Belarra announced this Saturday 5 proposals for the investiture of Pedro Sánchez and has called it essential that Irene Montero repeats as Minister of Equality. Up until now, the Purple Party had publicly pressured Díaz to count on Montero, something they consider practically impossible, but today they have raised the stakes to affirm that her inclusion in the government is essential. Neither Sumar nor the PSOE envisaged this scenario, and Podemos know it, but they have wanted to show that they have their own entity in the negotiation with the majority partner, that being Yolanda Díaz. And this is bad news for Ms. Díaz, because the Sumar coalition, a coalition of left-wing parties, could be in danger if Podemos removes its support. Remember, they have 5 positions in that coalition government, I believe. Irene Montero is not one of them, but the pressure is coming. Where's the pressure coming from? I hear you asking. Well, it's coming from a man who used to have a ponytail but has cut it off and got out of politics, but he still pulls the strings behind the scenes apparently, and that's what the demands are. So another hurdle for Mr. Sánchez to get over as well if Podemos removes itself from that coalition. So the left already starting to fragment here in Spain only months after the general elections when they all came together. But Podemos, as I said, sees itself as a still relevant political party, even though the polls and election results would say otherwise. But we'll see how this one ends up. And the final piece of news, this one here, and lots of people wanting to become civil servants in Spain. In fact, more than 160 candidates are taking exams across the country this weekend to fill 27,000 positions in the public administration. A total of 134 people are applying this weekend to the selective processes of the call for public employment launched by the Ministry of Finance and Public Function, for which 27,509 positions of the public employment offers of the years 2020, 2021 and 2022 were offered. This is the first phase of the call for applications, which begins this Saturday and ends today, Sunday. The Treasury explains in a statement that those called will take the exams in the provinces of A Coruña, Alicante, Ávila, Asturias, Badajoz, Barcelona, Cádiz, Córdoba, Granada, Balearic Islands, Las Palmas, Madrid, Málaga, Murcia, Pontevedra, Santa Cruz de Tenerife, Sevilla, Toledo, Valencia, Valladolid, and Zaragoza. So there we go, 160,000 people hopeful that they'll get one of those 27,000 positions on offer and guarantee themselves a job for life, which is what happens if you get into the public administration here in Spain and other countries as well, let's be honest. But here in Spain, lots of people trying to break into the public administration because basically for a lot of people, it's the only way that they can guarantee a comfortable life in this country working for the government. So lots of people turning out. And no doubt they have been studying hard, some of them most likely for years, to try and get one of these sought-after jobs. Now, into the comment section I'm going to go now. A lot of debate about omelets, Spanish omelet. We can see here this one, tortilla con cebolla and firm, says Karen. Yeah, lots of people would agree with you about that, with the onion aspect, cebolla. But as we saw yesterday, Spanish people, the majority of Spaniards, 70.4% prefer their tortillas with onions and also runny. They like to have a bit of a runny egg going on in their tortillas, not so firm. And it's a question of taste, I suppose, what you prefer. A little bit runny, maybe you prefer it a little bit firm, as we saw there from Karen. And with onion, the majority also. And I must say that for me, onion all the way. Another comment here. On a similar topic from Mike, when I make Spanish omelette, I jazz it up. It's different every time. Apart from the potatoes, eggs, onions, salt, I put any veg I fancy: red pepper, spinach, green peas, etc. Then I throw in herbs or spices. I suppose when I finish, you can't call it a Spanish omelette, but anyway, it tastes delicious. Yeah, you're right, Mike. You can't call it a Spanish omelette. The Spanish are very traditional when it comes to their omelettes, and especially what they call the tortilla española. Maybe you can add onion, and a lot of people prefer that, but nothing else. I don't think you would be able to get away with it here in Spain and still be able to call it that. You'd have to call it some other type of omelette, maybe tortilla riojana, which is another popular type of omelette, which has some of the ingredients that you mentioned there, especially red peppers, peas I've seen in that as well, chorizo. So you can get a little bit creative with your tortillas, but it won't be called tortilla española. It will be called, as I said, something else. Riojana is the one that I just mentioned. And there's lots of places around the country that you will find good tortilla variations, like what you mentioned there, but called something different, Mike, because, as I said, Spanish people, they don't like people messing with their traditional dishes and adding things to them. And like, for example, paella, which we saw with Jamie Oliver a few years back when he decided to put chorizo in the Spanish paella, or in his paella. And wow, didn't he get attacked on social media by Spaniards who were up in arms. Another one here from user. As crazy as it may sound, what do Spaniards eat if you don't like eggs like me? I plan to move to Spain, and I know tortillas are very common, as you stated. Well, you can avoid them. There's plenty of other things to eat here that don't have eggs. Eggs are featured in a lot of dishes, of course, but you can find dishes without eggs if, for example, you don't like them, or you have some type of allergy, or maybe you are a vegan and eggs are not part of your diet. You can find other foods. So don't worry. But if you go to a bar or restaurant, make sure that the people that you are with don't order huevos a la plancha or something like that, or huevos rotos, which are some of the popular dishes that include eggs. So, but as I said, plenty of other things available. Another one here from Teddy. Stuart, the strangest thing about the Rubiales case is that she didn't look like she was resisting. I know this isn't politically correct, but I believe that too much of a big deal has been made of it. Was it inappropriate? Indeed, it was, but people make mistakes. There are more serious things happening in the world. Jenny didn't look bothered by the kiss, if you ask me. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with you, Teddy. A lot of people would disagree with you as well. Mr. Rubiales has been, people have gone after him quite aggressively over the last 2.5 weeks until they eventually got his resignation. Took a while, but he did resign. And I think there's a lot of things behind the scenes with this man that we don't know about. In fact, every time I talk to somebody here in Spain, they seem to bring up something that I wasn't aware of that involved Mr. Rubiales, whether it was a party with young women, whether it was some other type of aggressive behavior. But he does seem to have a history of this type, well, maybe not this type of behavior, but a lot of people don't like him, and he ruffles a lot of feathers, and a lot of people came after him, as I said. Was it inappropriate? Probably for the moment. I don't know. There are other ways that you can kiss somebody, I suppose. The standard 2 kisses on the kiss on each cheek would have sufficed, I think. He wouldn't have got in any trouble, but the issue was him grasping the head of the player, drawing her towards him, and smacking that kiss bang on the lips, and caught the attention of the international press. And people don't like to be embarrassed about these type of things when people are representing them, and that's all part of the issue as well. But as I said, Mr. Rubiales is gone. The women's players are still threatening strike action, I think, or refusing to play. Some of them are, at least. They want huge changes in the federation. Not sure exactly what they want, but huge changes. They're saying that it's not a safe workplace for them, that environment, and they want things changed to make it a safe work environment. And Spain's women politicians are also calling for equality when it comes to pay. And there were lots of comments about that, people expressing their opinions on whether or not that should be granted or not. I don't know. But as I said, Yolanda Díaz, for example, has put it on the table. Equal pay for women's football players here in Spain. So we'll see what happens as a result and whether they do get back on the pitch and start playing again. Not sure. Another one here from Chrissy. It's a shame that they can't work together. Good in all parties. The same in the UK. Yeah, it is a shame, Chrissy. You're absolutely right that the main political parties can't work together. They're split by ideology. They're split by, I don't know whether it's a real hatred or not, but that's what they seem to want us to believe. It's all about the business. It's all about getting control, power at any cost, and they'll do whatever it takes to hold on to those positions, because not only do we see the people in the power, the people that we associate with politics here in Spain, but there's also a lot of people behind the scenes that are faithful to the party that end up in very nice jobs indeed. And over the years, I've worked or given English classes to some of these people, and they do get nice positions where they get chauffeured around the cities. They also get higher salaries than they would get normally. So it's all about power, and it's all about, as I said, holding on to that power at any cost, even if it is detrimental to the country as a whole. But not unique to Spain. But Spain is one of these places where it does play out that way. And the final comment here from Joy. Hope you were safe. Saw loads of floods again in Madrid. Yes, Joy, thanks for your words there. Wondering whether we're safe here in Madrid. The answer is yes. It has rained heavily. I'm not going to lie. It's been a lot of heavy downpours. In fact, the other morning I was woken up at 5 a.m. by very, very loud thunder, and it wasn't because the walls are thin where I live. It was coming from outside, and the rain that was falling also very, very heavy, and things flood very quickly, because basically it's the equivalent of a flash flooding. A lot of water falls in a short amount of time, and if you get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can end up in a bit of strife or a bit of bother, as they say. But here, no problems for the moment. And a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, 5 people unfortunately lost their lives on the other side of Madrid. And recently, it was this side of Madrid's turn to cop those heavy rains, but it didn't lead to any deaths. The worst thing that happened was the road. The main motorway down below here was flooded. The train line was suspended because of some incident. But that was the worst of it, fortunately. And lots of people were late to work, because when the rain falls like that, the traffic backs up, lots of accidents and things. So people don't get to work on time. But that's also fairly common. Now I'm up to the 18-minute mark. I'm going to put the like icon on the screen. So if you haven't hit it yet, please do so just below the video. We're up to like number 51. So if you hit the like icon now, you could be like number 52, 53, 54. So do us a favor and hit that like button, please. I'm also back on Facebook today. So for people watching on Facebook, good to see you. I've been off Facebook for the last couple of live streams, I think. There were some technical issues with the program that I use here, the software program. It wasn't connecting, but back on Facebook today. So for the 4 people watching on Facebook, hello. And for the 150 on YouTube, hello to you as well. Also, I'm going to change the backdrop. I normally do it this time. This was a photo that was sent through from Waldemar, and it is Soto Grande, which is down there in the south of Spain in the province of Cádiz. And it's one of these luxury playgrounds for the rich, I believe. And we can see there some nice boats parked in the harbour there, or sitting in the harbour, some nice boats. And the cars look a bit ordinary, but I think directly behind me there's a very nice vehicle. So I might just get out of the way quickly so that you can see that one. Whoop, I've just moved the table. There we go, a nice set of wheels coming in there. So thanks, Waldemar, for sending that one through. And if you've got a similar picture to this one, that if you would like to see it on the backdrop, you've been in Spain recently, or you're living in Spain and you like to take photos, this is the email address here, spainspeaks@gmail.com. And also, if you've got some news to send to me, if anything has caught your attention over the last period of time. That's also the email address. Send me the link to the news. Lots coming through today, in fact. So I'll check those out tomorrow and see if they would be interesting for the community. So send them through. Thank you very much. Now, also into the chat section I'm going to go. Let me get onto the chat section here. Scroll up to the top. And Maurice coming in first today. ¿Cómo están guapos y guapas? Yeah, good-looking men and good-looking women. How are we? Or how are you? Don't know if I include myself there. Thank you very much, Maurice, for that. Practicing the Spanish there too. Erica coming in from Terrassa. Did rain on Friday. Downpours a bit, then steady rain. Not enough, but better than nothing. Hope everyone is fine and enjoying life. Thank you very much, Erica. Hope you are well too. Mugger also coming in. Like number 4 apparently was Mugger watching on the phone today because the Fiji rugby match is on TV. I think they're giving Australia a bit of a hiding at the moment. In fact, I'll just check the score. Full time, 15-22. So Australia losing to Fiji. And Australian rugby in dire straits at the moment. Hild coming in also. We heard that Madrid had too much water. We had a few showers, but no problem at all. Free water because we live off-grid. I hope everyone is okay. There we go. Yeah, free water indeed, Hild, living off-grid. Make the most of it. Make sure that you fill up your tanks if that is the case. Because as you said, living off-grid there. Not connected to the water mains, obviously. Not connected to the electricity grid. Living the life in Spain, wherever you are. I think you're down in the Valencian community, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Ed coming in too from Barcelona, 29 degrees Celsius there today. Janet coming in from Oxford, back after a sunny week at the seaside there in Cornwall, I think. It was Janet. What else we got going on here? Alan coming in from El Puerto. Regular viewer is Alan. Buenas noches, mis queridas amigos, desde una nublada El Puerto de Santa Maria. So again, practicing his Spanish is Alan. If you want me to correct the sentence, Alan, I will. There's one mistake that I can see, but don't let that put you off. Remember that your two words here, they have to agree. Okay, so queridas amigas, if you're talking to your female friends. But here, when you're talking in general, queridos. But don't let me put you off practicing there, Alan. Thanks for that. Grant, a.k.a. old guy doing stuff, coming in from Sierra, up there in the north of Spain. Renan coming in from LA, Los Angeles. Jane and Pete saying hello from Michigan in the United States, running errands before the new work week. Cheers. Good to see you guys. Bronny coming in from South Wales, 18 degrees there, bit cool. Best wishes from Bronny. Chrissy, that we just saw a comment from here in Salar. Looks like rain, but nothing yet, I imagine. Stan coming in from Poland. Back in Poland is Stan. I'll just put that back to the original size. Ross coming in from Valencia. Pretty heavy rain there, 25 degrees Celsius. Good to see you, Ross. Marianne coming in too. It's a relief after the hot weather of August. Rainy in San Diego. There we go. Janet, were voters asked about this in the election? They should be liable for huge costs they haven't voted for. No, Janet, is the simple answer to this. Basically, when you vote here in Spain, there are some ideas that are put on the table, but there's lots of ideas that are not put on the table. But of course, since you supported that political party by voting for them, basically it gives them sometimes a carte blanche to do whatever they want. And this is the case, even though Mr. Sanchez said 3 days before the elections that some of these things were out of the question, they become a question. So basically that's it. Andrew coming in from Amarina, lovely warm day there, 26 degrees, plus clouding over now though, no rain yet. Iggy coming in from the south of Spain, the olive oil land, which is Jaén, cool and cloudy there. Two words about the languages. Completely crazy, says Hild. Hild not in favour of the co-official languages making it at a European level, despite Pep Guardiola's petition and Sergi Lopez. Bob also saying here, I would rather the tax I pay here in Spain goes to good causes rather than supporting extra languages in the EU. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with you, Bob, about that. Maybe improve the services here first and then think about financing these other things. That's what some people probably would argue, right? Iggy also chipping in on the debate. Having more official languages sounds nice, but what about the unnecessary cost of... There we go, that's it, translating costs, right? All those government documents, apparently what I heard is that you have to go back to the beginning of the European Union and translate every document because people have to have that right, that if they're looking for a document from 1973, it has to be in their language. Don't know whether that's true, but that's what I read somewhere. Of course, I'm not an expert on the European Union, but somebody said that that was what would have to happen. Alan says, very interesting pronunciation of the word onion. Is that a common thing in Australia to pronounce it with a G? Don't know. I just say the word. I'm not thinking about how I pronounce it. As long as people understand what I'm talking about. Onion. Onion. Pamela, good evening, says Pamela. Hello, Pamela. Hope you are well. Coming in from San Juan de los Terreros. Sandra coming in too. Always enjoy your show. I'm in Alberta, Canada, and when you describe the state of politics in Spain, you could very well be talking about Canada. It's nuts. Yeah, I saw a show on YouTube about Canada today. It looks crazy, the politics there as well. Interesting, but again, I suppose it depends on what side of the fence you sit, I imagine. Bronny, whenever I think of Luis Rubiales, the song Eso Beso comes into my head. There we go, Eso Beso. Joseph also in the chat. The property broker sent me a video walkthrough of the property, but it was hastily done and hard to see everything clearly, although it was good enough to move forward with the purchase. Joseph obviously purchased property recently. Good to see you, Joseph. John saying, watch out for huevos rotos, estrellados, etc. They may include jamón, which is not considered to be carne, at least down here in Andalusia. They don't consider ham to be meat, John? What do they consider it to be? Vegetarian? Don't know. Don't know. Maura coming in from a grey County Donegal. Not sure if I pronounced that one correctly, but I'll take it as okay. Grant saying that there's people here in Asturias who make tortillas with fabada or fabes, some even with whatever leftovers they have in the fridge. Yeah, absolutely. But they probably don't call them tortilla española, Grant. That was my point before. They might call it tortilla con fabes, for example, I would say. Don't know. But as I said, people are very traditional when it comes to these dishes. They need to have them exactly how they think they should be. No variations. As soon as you stick anything else in it, it becomes something else. Even if it is 75% Spanish omelette. As soon as you put another ingredient in there, it becomes something else. Although I do enjoy tortilla de patatas, maybe with some red peppers on the side of the plate. The ones you buy in like a glass jar here, which are quite tasty. Roasted, I think they are. Fluttergirl coming in from Toronto. From what Stu said, I'm even more happy Mr. Rubiales is gone. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, his background was a bit controversial. He's been in the job since 2018, I think, and it's been scandal after scandal after scandal. Might not have made the international press like the Kiss incident, but there's a fairly decent resume on Mr. Rubiales of things that maybe shouldn't have happened over the last 5 or 6 years. I think that's the case, and a lot of people had it in for him, just waiting for him to slip up, and they didn't have to wait long, because the guy that was there before him was in the job for 20 plus years. So once they get into these jobs, not easy to get them out. And as we saw it, even with a crowbar, it was difficult to get Mr. Rubiales out of that position. But apparently he came round. Angela and John coming in today on Facebook. Here we go. From a very warm and humid Menorca. Good to see you guys. Exploring with Jen coming in too. Cloudy at the moment. Jen sent through a photo recently, which will be up on the backs on the green screen here soon. Gordon coming in. Hi Stuart. We should never yield power to those that seek it. Politicians the world over are corrupt. However, on the bright side, it's beautiful here in the Chalon Valley. Yes, Gordon, that is true. Corruption is an issue, whether it's corruption that we have seen in the past or other types of corruption, because corruption does take different forms, right? Jane, as a vegan from the US, we vacation in Spain every summer and have been very happy with the increase in vegan restaurants in Madrid and in most other cities. Restaurants in Granada are very vegan. There we go. Yeah, there is an increase, Jane, of course, over the years as more people jump on the vegan train, if you like, people changing their eating habits, becoming vegetarian or vegan, and of course restaurants cater. I remember when I first came here, maybe not when I first came here, but back in the 1990s, a friend of mine, vegetarian, and it was difficult to find a 100% dedicated restaurant to vegans or vegetarians. But in big cities, not an issue. Probably different in smaller cities, but Granada, as you say there, does have a lot. Very vegan. Jem was like number 50. There we go. We're up to like number 109 now, so not complaining. We got over the 100 mark. Full employment for translators at a time when IA will replace some of them. Yeah, IA is on the way in, especially with this, and these programs get better and better. But maybe the translators will need to go on strike and try to protect their jobs. Osawakit coming in from Disney World. Hot and sunny, 32. There we go. Normally in Oregon, I think, Osawakit. In Disney World today. Where's that, in California? I think there's one in Florida, one in California. Am I right? Or is one called Disneyland? Not sure. I get those mixed up. One wheel was in Cordoba, had a tortilla at a bar where they sliced the tortilla in half and added a filling. Yeah, that's what they can do as well. Over 20 to choose from. Very busy and very delicious. Went back several times. Yeah. There's a place in Cordoba also where they do a very big tortilla. I think it's about this tall. I think it's one of these ones that looks quite strange, but popular as well, I believe, in Cordoba. Not sure if it's at the same place. Chip saying, so what's next? Breton, Occitan, I think, Alsatian and Wallon. Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? That there's lots of languages spoken in the European Union. But of course, as we saw there, Catalan, 10 million people, according to Pep and Sergi. So that's what they want to try to convince people to give it that official status. Lots of people speaking it. But of course, if Catalan or Catalonian gets the official status, then Basque, which has less speakers, or fewer speakers, I should say, and Galician as well. Just because you have a nice car doesn't necessarily mean you are rich. There are many falsos ricos in Spain. Yeah, that could be true. Saw a guy yesterday with a nice car. His son plays football with my son. Had a very nice car. And it got me thinking, is this guy, got a high-powered job, getting a huge salary, or is he just somebody who's overspent on a car? I'll get to the bottom of it, although I shouldn't be prying, I suppose. But it is interesting to see how many people do get around in a nice set of wheels. Yes, expensive cars that are sometimes, being tuned out as well. So they spend a lot of money on cars. Alex, yes, most of the Western governments seem to be unable to work with opposing parties. Someday a chatbot will replace them. Probably. Sani coming in as well from Basingstoke, wishing everybody a good weekend. Thanks, Sani, for that. Jeff also coming in here, enjoying the live stream, along with the regular vids. Been a follower for a couple of years now, with great interest, especially as our intention is to relocate to the Iberian Peninsula. Well, I hope all goes well with that intention, Jeff, to relocate to the Iberian Peninsula. I suppose you're weighing up Spain or Portugal, but whichever country you choose, I'm sure you will be happy with that choice. Andre's saying, good that I'm on Facebook. I almost missed the live stream, but your Facebook post reminded me. Thanks, Andres, for that. Yeah, got back on Facebook. Tech issue. Like I said, not too many people watching on Facebook. I don't know how popular Facebook is nowadays. Only 2 people watching currently, but YouTube seems to be the platform for live streams, at least for this channel. Maybe there are some people on Facebook with big live stream audiences, but not the case here. Fiji deserves the best, deserve the win. Best match seen ever. Best match seen ever in the history of rugby. There we go. Chrissy, cool there. 24, no rain. I appreciate the corrections. Mil gracias. Yeah, I don't want to be, too pedantic there, Alan, but, it always helps when you get pushed in the right direction, especially when you have to make those things agree. So when it comes to the subject-verb agreement and things like that, always important in English. And then, of course, making those the feminine or the masculine agree. What else we got going on here? Carol coming in from Canada, missing Spain very much. Stephen coming in from Enfield, North London. Good to see you, Steve. William's also here, back after 2 weeks of the 30s in Rhodes. There we go, William's back. Charrogate coming in from Yorkshire, 17 degrees there. So, cool. Colin coming in from Murcia, having late 20s temperatures here in Murcia. Yeah, I imagine the weather down in Murcia will be fairly decent, unless you get some of those heavy showers, of course. But I think even the winters are quite mild in Murcia. At least when I went there last February, cold in Madrid, but Murcia was quite warm, at least during the day. Not at night, but during the day. What's the cost of translating? Don't know, Chrissy, but I'm sure it costs a pretty penny. Andrew, bit late today, nursing a monster hangover. So Andrew had a big night. Onion with a G, like Lisa with a Z. There we go. Onion. Don't know. Here in Salah, €200 for going to hospital. I manage myself or get a friend on the mobile to converse for me. Translator. There we go. 200 to go to the hospital with a translator. So, yes, that's what you have to pay to get those services. Not cheap. Not cheap. Pauline's saying that tortillas are nice from the shops in the UK. Now, the ones here, if you compare it to the ones that you make yourself, of course, no. A lot of preservatives in the supermarket variety, but they are popular. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell them. But for me, yeah, not so much. Not so much for me, no. Tony saying, sounds tasty. Holding a paella in hand there. It looks tasty. Thanks, Tony. Maura said, perfect, my pronunciation there. Thanks for that, Maura. I always get a bit paranoid when I see these Irish names pop up. A lot of names that I'm not familiar with, especially people's names, and also place names as well. But I suppose when you don't, grow up in a place and you only see the words every now and again, or these names every now and again, you can make some pronunciation mistakes. Plenty of people do it with Australian names, of course, the suburb names and place names down there that they're not familiar with. What else? The guys constantly criticising your pronunciation in Spanish and English crack me up. Nothing good to say. Yeah, well, people like to pick you up on things, Andres. I think, as I said, the most important thing is to make yourself understood, whether your pronunciation is 100% spot on or not. I've always said that word that way. If you hear it one way, maybe, I don't know. Chrissy's vegetarian, but will never go vegan. Thanks, Chrissy. Philip coming in on Facebook from a rainy London. Disneyland is in Orange County, California. There we go. I knew there's a Disneyland and a Disney World. Must be Disney World in Florida. It says, thanks for that, Oswakat, pointing that out. I'm all the way across the US. Okay. There we go, on the other side of the country. Disneyland is in Anaheim, Southern California, or Anaheim. Not sure how you pronounce that one. Worked there decades ago. I'm no rehire, LOL, says Ken. Patrick also lives off-grid. No electric bill, no water rates, heating with wood. 3 miles from our nearest neighbour, 8 miles from town, tranquilo. Sounds like a good life. I could easily slip into that lifestyle, I think. Any updates on the squatter problem, says Joseph. Buying a property in the last 3 units and I plan to rent them out. No updates, Joseph. It tends to pop up every now and again in the press that Spain has an issue in some parts of the country with squatters. I think a lot of the squatters occupy properties that are owned by either the government or the banks. I think that's one of the main issues. When it comes to squatting private property, if it's been empty for a long time, maybe there's an issue. But if you've got people regularly coming in and out, I don't think there would be an issue. Andrew got an Uber cab yesterday, and it was a new 120,000 Tesla. Lots of Teslas driving around in Madrid as Ubers. So obviously someone's invested a lot of money in that type of car. Charlie coming in from Rota, Cádiz, probably not far from the photo that we have here. Soto Grande. Jeff saying that Central Portugal is our preferred region to enjoy a peaceful life. I imagine that is. Good choice, Jeff. Central Portugal, on the coast or inland? On the coast or inland? Let us know. Tony coming in from Bristol, raining there. Of course, that was with the paella. We're going to be med nomads after commissioning a motor catamaran that we can do all the island waterways and all of the med. So retirement for us shortly in March 2024. Good luck with that one, JC. Sounds like a good idea. Med nomads, just cruising around the Mediterranean. Wow. If you've got an extra place on the catamaran, let me know. Marco coming in from Portugal, pleasantly peeing down there. Likely you'll get this needy rain in Spain soon. Yeah, it normally crosses the border, doesn't it, Marco? What you get there shortly crosses the border and comes into Spain and hits us here in Madrid, of course. We're more or less on the same level, I think. Lovely weather in Rota, says Charlie. Simon says warm but windy in Lanzarote today. Simon, of course, back down there for the winter. This is just the finish here. Continuous noise, pollution, behaviour, and the increasing number of feral children. There we go, to get away from that. Quiet place. A lot of people would like a quiet place, no doubt. Elizabeth, it's Sunday. So many of us are watching American football in the US, and in my case, Stu at the same time, 33 degrees here in Las Vegas. We all need diversions from politics. Yeah, it is Super Sunday football there in the States. Who's playing the main game? Or do all the teams play on Super Sunday? Not sure. Is it even Super Sunday? I don't know. Don't know. What else? I'm not going to even try that one, Janet there, an Irish name. No idea. Marco also saying that the supermarket tortillas commercialise rubbish. Need to go to Spain for tortilla. My favourite food over 25 years. Missed the tapas of albondigas. So Marco missing the food. There we go. Antonio saying that separatist parties bring nothing but problems for the country. They should all be prohibited. Yeah, some people would agree with that. Antonio, no doubt. It's a controversial topic. And Tony made paella last weekend, chicken, and wait for it, duck. There we go. Now, that's the live stream done and dusted. Thanks for watching today. I'll be back with another one tomorrow. Hope to see you there. Hope you have a fantastic rest of the Sunday, whatever you are doing, whether your Sunday is fairly advanced like mine is here at 8:15 p.m. or whether you're in the States and you're just cranking up your Sunday. I hope all goes well. Or if you're in New Zealand and it's already Monday morning, I hope you have a fantastic day. Hasta luego, hasta entonces. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.